A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to today's news analysis. We are doing the Indian Express paper and using the Chandigarh edition. Now, starting with the front page, we have news on Prime Minister Modi's visit to the US. And in fact, that is the main highlight of the news that we have these days. So let us see what all we have over here. So first of all, we have this headline which states deals closed, doors open. So somewhere indicating the deals India made with the US. So that is the first part. And then we have the doors open, indicating that US is more receptive of India getting new technology. So they are moving away from the technology denial regime for New Delhi. So now they are embracing India and they are providing India with the latest of the technology. They are willing to it. They're open to this idea. So that is what we see through the deals being made. Now let us see which all deals are made, which all sectors are being covered over here. So first of all, we have Defense and Space Pacts inked. Then it says joint mission to International Space Station. It implies sending an astronaut, or maybe of Indian origin, to the International Space Station by 2024, and India to join Space Accords. So these are the things. I have jotted down the points. It is mentioned over here on page 1 as well as on page number 4. So I've jotted it together over here. So talking about defense, we have deals with reference to acquiring the engines, the aircraft engines from General Electric. Now these engines are high technology. India, not many countries are able to make these engines. The metallurgy, the steel that is required. India also failed in its quest to make its own indigenous engine. So it will be getting the engines from General Electric, a US-based company. Now to get these engines, the company General Electric needs authorization from the US government. So without that authorization, without the consent of the US government, the engines could not have been gotten. So now we have these engines, and this engine is of high quality. It is being used in modern day jets. So this engine name is F414. So this is made by the GE. Now pre-based question can be asked, like this term F414 has been in news recently. It is associated with which of the following, and 4 options are given to you. So this engine will be given to the HAL, and it will be used to power the Tejas aircraft. So that is one thing. And the next iteration of the Tejas aircraft, Tejas presently is light combat aircraft. It's a light combat aircraft. The next iteration would be advanced multi-role combat aircraft or medium combat aircraft. So from light, medium, combat aircraft. Mirage 2000, etc. are medium combat aircraft. Tejas is a small plane, therefore light combat aircraft. So the F414 engine is very important for the modernization or the next generation of the Tejas aircrafts. And this engine that they are giving us, it is used to power the US Air Forces or US Navy's Hornet aircraft. Hornet aircraft you must have seen in some movies also, like Top Gun, etc. So it's a very, very famous aircraft. And then it is also used to power a very modern day aircraft known as Gripen from Saab. This aircraft is as capable as the Rafale aircraft that India has. So this aircraft, when we were having this deal, we were considering the Rafale aircraft, we were also considering Gripen. So that's how capable this engine is. Okay, so we're getting the engines from the US. Besides this, we have had defense deals on drones. We have been pursuing the US for giving us armed drones. We have seen the US using drones against terrorists, striking them with missiles and all those things. So we have been wanting them, and we are having a deal on drones. Now, To be fair, this news article does not mention if it is armed drones. I presume it is armed drones. And we have been negotiating with them on the MQ-9B Predator armed drone. MQ-9B armed drone. So this is the MQ-9B Predator armed drone. Let us look at the image also. It's not opening. Fine. So this drone over here. Besides this, not mentioned, we are working on collaboration on defense manufacturing. That is, India manufactures for the US, as well as India playing a role in the developmental phase of defense manufacturing. That is R&D, etc. So that is also what we were discussing with them. Okay, so this is with the defense side of things. Moving on, space. Space Pact Synced. In fact, when we talk Space Pact Synced, this is space only. Joint mission to International Space Station in 2024. And this implies sending a person to space. US has already sent their person, International Space Station, so it has to be Indian. And India has been focusing, it is one of the priorities to have an Indian on space. Right? So we have been talking about putting a man on moon and all those things. Then India to join Space Artemis Accords. Let us see what is this Artemis Accords now. By the way, we have a very comprehensive video of about 10-15 minutes on Artemis Accords, so you can refer that also. The term the Artemis Accords is actually deriving its name from the Artemis program, which is about the US missions to moon, right? It is associated with it, sending an American-led effort to return humans to moon by 2025. So it is from here that name is coming. Now, Artemis Accords is drafted by NASA and the US Department of State, and it provides a framework for cooperation in the civil exploration and peaceful use of moon, Mars, and astronomical objects. So we are already focusing on mining on moon, mining on Mars, sending a human being over here. So civil uses of all these space space objects or astronomical objects. So Artemis Accords, in short, is providing us with a set of rules as to how the peaceful and sustainable civil cooperation civil exploration is done for moon, Mars, and other astronomical objects. It is a non-binding multilateral arrangement. It is not binding as such. It's not legally binding. It's just an understanding. And it is explicitly grounded in the UN Outer Space Treaty. Right? So India will be joining the Artemis Accords, the framework that NASA has established. And maybe India will also be part of the rule-making body. So that is the thing. Okay, so we are done with the space also. So yeah, defense, space is done. Then what else? President Biden said that we are working on medicines. There is a deal on medicines which will help in better diagnosis of cancer and diabetes. So diagnostic equipments, etc., are very expensive. It requires high-end technology. US is the leader in that. So cancer diagnostics and diabetic diagnostics will provide us with this expertise. Okay. Now, in India's context, we are facing the burden of non-communicable diseases, rise of cancer, diabetes, type 2 diabetes. So such a thing is actually beneficial for us. Then on semiconductor manufacturing, right? So semiconductor manufacturing, we have had some US-based companies who have promised to invest in India. So this was about the deals that were made, and the nature of deals that you see, the India getting place in Artemis Accords or helping a human to reach moon or the International Space Station. It means there is sharing of technology. Likewise, for giving us a high-end engine and all those things. So it reflects a sign of confidence and openness amongst the US. So the doors are open. So the signal from DC is beginning of the end of technology denial regime for New Delhi. Okay, so this was it. Now moving on. Face authentication now in PM Kisan mobile app. We all know face unlock feature that we have on a mobile phone. Now they will be on the PM Kisan mobile app. So this is the first time for government schemes. This is part of GS2 e-governance. Okay, I mean directly we don't expect a question on face authentication for PM's app, PM Kisan mobile app, but we should have an idea. But yes, one thing we see is apps are being made and for dispensation of government schemes. So first of all, let us see this app over here. I have taken, where is this app? PM Kisan, right? So PM Kisan scheme, we click on this thing and we come to this. So this PM Kisan app that we have, it is for implementation of the PM Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana. In this, the farmer gets 6,000 rupees annually, 2,000 in slabs of 2,000 rupees each. So 3 times they get 2,000 rupees. So that is total of 6,000 rupees. So for this app is being developed, which is on the Play Store. You can see it allows for farmer registration. They have the registration ID. They put the data, right? All the things are coming over here. So this will help in registration. It will help in getting of money, retrieving money. So all these, and plus it brings in more transparency. So these are certain benefits over here. And face authentication is practical in the sense that we today don't remember our passwords and everything. So face authentication will help that. And probably, so that is the main thing. Okay, so what are the benefits of the app? It will provide ease of use. It will improve accessibility to the government schemes. So it will help make the schemes more inclusive, right? So that is the thing. So ease of use would result in better enrollment, so more beneficiaries, more coverage. Then it enhances transparency and accountability. You just saw that all the information was transparently available to the farmer or the beneficiary. And it reduces, having an app. So you have a direct interface with the government. So the farmer has direct interface. The farmer does not rely on any intermediary, any government official or anything, nothing of that sort. There is directly the link is with the government once you are registered with your unique registration ID. So there is less scope of leakage of money. The farmer should get its money. If there is a flaw, they will know it through the app and that will be rectified. So with transparency comes greater accountability. So these are some of the benefits of having an app, and face authentication eases it. And this is part of the larger scheme of things, that is e-governance. So we move next. 2009 Shopian deaths. 2 women were killed. Dead bodies, they were found missing and then they were found dead. So it is saying that there were 2 doctors who fudged reports and they said that they were raped and murdered by security forces. And this led to a lot of rioting and clashes by the community. So eventually there was a CBI probe and it is found that the findings were fudged, the autopsies were fudged at the behest of Pakistan. So these people have been arrested. Okay. Then NIA, National Investigative Agency, declares cash reward on Arsh Dalla. Fine. So this person is associated with the Khalistan movement. More specifically, Khalistan Tiger Force. That's it. We don't need more on this thing. That's all. What we need to know is, from the exam point of view, is National Investigative Agency, specifically the PRI part of things. So the National Investigative Agency is a statutory body. The first and foremost thing that you have to know is it is a statutory body. It was created via an act of the parliament. So NIA Act 2008. So let me see. Yeah, so 2008. Then every year, I mean, it keeps getting amended from time to time. So that is there. So that is why we have this NIA Amendment Bill 2019. And what does the NIA do? National Investigative Agency. It is a specialized counter-terrorism law enforcement agency. Its purpose is to investigate and prosecute for offenses related with terrorism. So, after this Mumbai attacks, which took place in 2008, there was a need felt that we need to have a dedicated investigative agency for terror. So, NIA. So, this is it on the NIA. We move forward. Leaders of opposition start arriving for opposition meeting in Patna with promise of the first draft of unity. Fine. So we want opposition unity. So opposition unity. I mean, the opposition leaders want it, and we want a strong opposition. That's what I wanted to say. Okay. So in Patna, they'll be meeting, and this is the place. In fact, the very place that they are meeting is where the first opposition leaders had met together in 70s to oust the former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. So this very place is being used. So this is kind of a symbolic gesture. Just mentioned all this because there was an editorial on this thing, so I wanted to save time on that. Okay. We were again back on this India-US this thing. So more on this thing. Very briefly, we'll cover it. So Prime Minister Modi and US US president, they talked on certain other things like international issues like Ukraine, Quad, and I2U2. So Ukraine war, you know, right? Quad also you should know. Now, what is this I2U2? And Quad is, by the way, dealing with Indo-Pacific, and it has 4 countries: India, Japan, US, Australia. Now, what is I2U2? I2 is 2 I's, that is India and Israel, and 2 U's, UAE and US. So this is providing India a foothold in the politics of our extended neighborhood, that is, or the West Asia region. And why did I use this term extended neighborhood? Because we can expect a question of India's extended neighborhood policy. So first is neighborhood policy if we talk about foreign policy, and then we have extended neighborhood policy. That is a bit outside of our immediate neighborhood. So that is one of the priorities of India. And there was one more this thing on one more deal that was about global acceleration of clean energy transition. So this is with reference to climate change and global acceleration. You know, this means that India's support is required. India is seen as a leader of the global south, the less developed countries. So India can help US in meeting the goal of clean energy transition across the globe. So that's what I understand. So yeah, so this is it. Then we have news on Madhya Pradesh, where 7 Dalit houses were built under PM Awas Yojana. Awas means housing. So they have been demolished. Fine. So yeah, these houses, they're saying that these houses were in the forest land and therefore they had to be removed. So yeah, so politically this is not good optics. And one more thing is that when you grant, when the houses are being made with reference to the government grants, right? Basically, the people get loans. So loans for houses, for Awas. Now, when the government has given loan, naturally they should have seen the feasibility of having a house in a particular area, right? So this shows some sort of a shortcoming on behalf of the government. So government is also at fault, much at fault over here. Okay, so that's it. Now let's look at the exam. So we have Prime Minister Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So we need to have more details on the same. And sadly, I've removed that link by mistake. So I'll just explain it. I still remember it. So yeah. So Prime Minister Awas Yojana it's also known as Housing for All. So this is a scheme that is to have housing for all the people and all the households. And the PM Awas Yojana has two components. So one is Gramin or rural. So Pradhan Mantri, we can write it like this: Awas Yojana, rural and urban. The rural one, the Prime Minister Awas Yojana rural, is dealt by Ministry of Rural Development, and Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana urban is by Ministry of Urban and Housing Development. So two ministries are looking into this thing. And this is a centrally sponsored scheme. Centrally sponsored scheme means the primary job of implementation is that of the state government. And for this, obviously, state requires money. So center will provide 60% of the funds and 40% contribution will come from the states besides implementation. And typically what happens is the beneficiaries get subsidy on loan. So money is required for making of the house. So for that, they get subsidy, right? 3 or 4% of subsidy is provided for making of the houses. Now, another important point. Is this scheme limited to below poverty line, BPL population only? Is it BPL only? No, right? It is for a much larger section of the population. It is divided according to the income slabs. So around 12 lakhs, something like that is there. And the beneficiaries are selected on the basis of the socio-economic caste census 2011. Okay, so this was about the PM Awas Yojana from mains point of view, governance, GS2. Mains point of view, we should look at the assessment on implementation of this scheme. So we should have a brief description about the scheme, the positives and shortcomings, and what suggestions are there to improve it. So that's how a question may be asked. High Court relief for transgender candidate who's unable to apply online for Chandigarh constable job. Fine. So person named Saurabh, he wanted to apply for becoming a constable in Chandigarh police. He could not apply because he was a transgender. Now to apply, there is an online form, right? E-governance online form. So there is the section on gender, so male or female. So he could not apply because he's a transgender and he wants to identify himself as a transgender. And when I say himself, it is actually herself because it is Saurabh, but Saurabh identifies as she. So it's confusing at times. Yeah, so transgender. So that is a problem over here. Now, you see, there is a larger issue over here. This is not just about this person not being able to apply or the form is not having an entry of transgender. It is indicative somewhere. This is the union territory, control of the center is there. Somewhere it is indicative of the biases and non-responsiveness towards the issue of the transgenders. In fact, according to the law recently enacted 2019, not so recent, also 4 years, Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act, in government appointments, they are required to have a separate column for transgender. And the people, the transgenders, have a flexibility if they want to identify themselves as he, she, or as transgender. That flexibility is also there. Right. So this is kind of a discrimination on behalf of the state over here. Now you saw the transgender thing is there on the PRS. You can study this. Basically, I don't. Maybe you should know the features, but I think transgender thing issue. Uh, basically with social biases that are there against transgenders and what needs to be done, what changes, all that can be a theme that can be seen. Now, if we look at it from a social perspective, it will be in GS1. If we look at it from the point of view of law, it should be in GS2. There is no hard and fast rule in on such a subject. Sometimes laws are asked in GS1 also. Laws, bills, acts, etc. Sometimes, very rare, but happens. Okay, we moving forward. Now we are on to the regional news. So first of all, we have a news about promotion of the use of electric vehicles. So this is Punjab government speaking, but really speaking, it is for all the states, and they would be prioritizing the use of electric vehicles. It is important. So let us see what is the state government doing over here. And my understanding is more or less steps and measures would be common to all the states. So here there is a talk of replacement of the old public buses, public transport buses. They should be replaced. They are providing service from a very long time. They should be scrapped. And for that, money is required. So first of all, budgetary allocation of about 300 crores over a period of 4 years. Then scrapping of the old vehicles, at least those who have crossed 15 years of service. Then attempt to be made to draw in investments through platforms like Invest Punjab, or we can talk about Vibrant Gujarat, so many things. So draw in investment in the EV domain. Make the state more attractive for EVs. Then developing charging infrastructure. And talking about charging infrastructure, we should also have a policy so that charging facilities are made available in malls as well as housing societies. Then the states can focus on cell making, cell manufacturing within their respective states. So that would be, this is a very nascent technology, new technology. So if state cell manufacturing is mastered, this will really benefit the GDP of the respective states. Okay, so this was about the EV thing that we had. Now we move on. Pathankot NSG hub may hit rough weather as villagers oppose move. We are only concerned with this NSG hub. And just giving you the context of this news also, Punjab, being a border state, wanted the establishment of NSG hub in the Punjab, and for that the Punjab government had promised 103 acres of land free of cost. So that was the thing. Now what is the NSG hub? Why do we wanted all those things? So NSG, National Security Guard, is, which is also known as the Black Cats, is a counter-terrorism unit of the Ministry of Home Affairs. It was founded in the backdrop of the Operation Blue Star. Right, so this is a commando force. It has members from your IPS as well as the Army and other CAPF forces. Its headquarters is in Delhi. Palam is in Delhi. And besides this, there are other departments also like Special Action Group, Special Ranger Group, Special Composite Group. Now, previously, this unit was based out of Manesar in Haryana. So it was in one place only. If any problem took place, they had to fly from Manesar to that particular place. But given the delay in response during the 2008 Mumbai attacks, there was a need felt to have more regional deployments. So there is a NSG hub in Hyderabad. You can see this expression NSG hub over here. So there is Hyderabad, Trimulgeri, so Trimulgeri is Hyderabad, Kolkata, Gandhinagar and Amritsar. Now there is proposal for having NSG in Punjab also. Okay. Punjab records the lowest cotton yield in 2012, 22, 30, 23. Lowest cotton yield. And previously we talked about that farmers in Punjab are not willing to grow cotton. Okay, what do we mean by yield, by the way? Yield means how much production is taking place from a particular piece of land. If more production is taking place from a unit area of land, then the yield is high. If less production is there, then the yield is low. So the main reason is pest infestation, brunt of deadly whitefly attack, then the deadly pink bollworm attack. So these are the main reasons. So previous year, 2023 means previous year. Presently we are in 2023-24. And the cotton season in Punjab is October to September. So October to September, fine. This is about landfills. Again, specific to the city of Ludhiana, Punjab. But the problem of landfill is more or less common wherever we go, including the National Capital Territory. So there is this landfill in the site of Tajpur. Landfill, I hope you understand, it is a particular place where the waste is dumped. You must have, if you have ever visited Delhi, you are first greeted with a mountain of waste that is there. So that is a landfill. So landfill, there is this fire taking place, and because of which death of family has taken place. Okay. Now, obviously, this particular news is not important, but the issue of landfill is important from the point of view of GS3. GS3 covers environment also. Okay. So landfills, if there are there, landfills are prone to fires. It is having toxicity. People have put their waste, that waste is decomposing. There is e-waste also sometimes that is getting mixed. It makes it more and more toxic. And what if, imagine this mountain, and what if there is rains taking place? Water is falling on this. So the toxic element that is there, this will permeate into the soil. So it will lead to land pollution as well as water pollution if it reaches the groundwater table. This water that percolates downstream, this is known as the leachate because it leaches into the ground. Then this is also prone to methane emissions. Carbon organic waste is there. This keeps getting stored in the form of methane. And methane emissions lead to climate change. They are much more, the propensity to change climate or make the climate warmer is much more than CO2. And the methane that is stored over here, slightest of fire, if it touches, it may create to small amount of fire also, like a matchstick, etc., may lead to massive fire, maybe an explosion also. So these are some of the concerns. Now, what measures are to be taken? First of all, the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. First, reduce the waste that is coming. Focus on segregation, segregating organic waste and non-organic waste. Organic waste is mostly water, so we can reduce the waste considerably by segregation. And the segregation is mandated in the solid waste management rules. This has to be implemented. Then the waste that is already there, we can focus on mining of the waste, right? Waste mining, we can call it waste mining. So that should take place. We should focus on recycling it. We should focus on treatment of the waste so that the toxicity comes down. Besides, I was visiting the Central Pollution Control Board's guidelines, and there they were also focusing on the drainage system. That is, the water, whatever thing is there, it drains without causing much damage. So that should be there. Besides this, there is talk of bioremediation. Now, what is bioremediation? As the name goes, bio, organic, remediations, correcting something. So it broadly refers to any process wherein a biological system like bacteria, algae, etc., they are used for removing environmental pollutants. that is bioremediation. And this is specifically used for removing of the heavy metals also, heavy metals e-waste. So it's kind of waste treatment. Okay, we'll have more on this later. This is quite cursory that we have done at the moment. Russia distances itself from G20 tourism meets final outcome. And here obviously G20 tourism meet. So final outcome. Russia is obviously upset with the Ukraine and the response that international community has given. So they have distanced it. Now, what was the outcome of this? Outcome of the G20 tourism meet. So the outcome is fairly simple. It is the world commitment towards green tourism or ecotourism, digitalization, skills in this context would mean skills for the guides, tourists, I mean not tourists actually, but skills associated with the tourism sector. Tourism MSMEs, small companies who promoting tourism economy basically, and destination management. So these are the priority areas that G20 tourism meet has made. And this summit took place in Goa. Further, they are saying that we need to look at the gender dimension. So women are at disadvantage overall when it comes to family tourism business. So that this flaw should be rectified. Women account for 50% of sector's global labor force worldwide. They tend to be concentrated in the lowest paid and lowest status jobs. So they are paid less, their status is less. So that needs to be rectified. So focus on the gender dimension. Okay, we move on. More like we have KCR inaugurates housing project for urban poor. So yeah, so housing for urban poor. So we just talked about Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Okay, when we were talking about this US India deal, there is another platform that is created with reference to cooperation in defense. This is Indus. Indus X. So Indus is India, IND is India, US is US. So it is a platform that is created. It's a platform that is created where Indian and American startups can co-develop and co-produce. Co-develop and co-produce advanced technologies. So this is under the India-US Defense Acceleration Ecosystem. That is the full form. India-US Defense Acceleration Ecosystem is Indus X. Fine. So it is where Indian and American startups can co-develop and co-produce. So this will help produce jobs. And of course, naturally, it will help. Then there will be formation of a senior advisory group to look into this issue. Yes, so this is it. This was about Indus X. Moving on is simply a platform. Artemis Accords coming, Artemis Accords, ISRO, NASA mission. I have already talked about the Artemis Accords. I have a video also on the same, so India will be member of that. So we're just moving on. We are on to the editorial section. First of all, let us rule out the articles that we are not doing. We are just doing this. And I'm ruling out this all party meet on Manipur is welcome. It affirms shared stakes could offer a roadmap to restore and rebuild peace. You know why I'm not doing this? Because I'm not getting the roadmap to restore and rebuild peace. It is basically telling us what has happened in the past. And yes, it is a good thing. So therefore, not doing it. Patna, not post Patna. It is about the opposition meet that is taking place. So will not get much from exam point of view over here. Opposition to Gandhi Peace Prize for Gita Press shows Congress in poor light. I agree with this, but it is not helpful for our exam. The diasporic delusion. So this is political. After PM Modi's visit is over, Hindu American community must confront the writing on the wall. It has money but no influence. So and at the moment I'm not doing this. The speech in US, I wish the PM gave, again I'll ignore this. So we are left with uniform rights, not laws. This is about the Uniform Civil Code, part of your GS2 syllabus. And the constitution of our country has this directive principles of state policy. So there is Article 44, which provides for implementation of the Uniform Civil Code. So this is the one that is of importance to us. Now, before starting with this article, let us see this Uniform Civil Code, how it is defined. So the Uniform Civil Code is a proposal in India to formulate and implement personal laws of citizens, which will apply on all citizens equally, regardless of their religion, gender, and sexual orientation. So I have simplified this. I have drawn this over here. So we have different communities: Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Parsis, Christians, etc. And all these communities have their own personal laws. So they have own laws on matters of, let's say, family, inheritance, adoption, divorce. So each one has their own set of laws, right? So the Uniform Civil Code says that certain aspects of personal laws should be codified, and it should be uniform to all the communities. It should be common to all the citizens. So laws related family, inheritance, adoption, divorce, etc. So that is the proposal of the Uniform Civil Code. So it implies Uniform Civil Code that there should be same laws. And it should replace, obviously, if there is a same law, it will replace the systems by the customary laws. And this is what the directive principles of state policy through Article 44 says. And the reason why we are talking about replacing is, one is we will have common laws. It will imbibe a settled, the laws will be common to all the citizens. So it will give way to the idea of fraternity, brotherhood, etc. Besides this, the laws that are based in history, based in the past, based in the tradition, we see there is a sense of gender bias. They are unfair to the women. So we see that. For example, the idea of triple talaq, the ease with which divorce can be given by stating talaq 3 times. So there is a gender bias. Likewise, when it comes to inheritance, more or less every religion and the rights of the women are compromised as compared to the male members. So if we have, if we replace it with the Uniform Civil Code, and if we give the focus to correcting the injustice, gender injustice, so that will be a good idea. So this is the Uniform Civil Code, which is to replace all these laws, or at least replace certain elements, and bring them and bring all the communities under the ambit of a common law. So that is the idea. Now, very interestingly, 21st Law Commission under the Supreme Court judge, former Supreme Court judge, Balbir Singh Chauhan. Please, this is important name, Balbir Singh Chauhan. He chaired the 21st Law Commission. Very recently, the views of this commission were made public, and they said that they are not in favor of Uniform Civil Code. They say that it is not desirable, it is not necessary nor desirable at this stage. Many of the wrongs that are been there, they have been more or less rectified. Then more or less they have been looked into by the courts, right? So we don't need to tamper with it. At this present moment, it is not necessary and nor desirable as well. So their view is not that there should not be reform. In fact, they have highlighted that there is a gender injustice that is going on. And when I said inheritance, triple talaq, etc., it is from the viewpoint of 21 Law Commission only. So what they are saying is that these communities have their own personal laws, right? So we should keep intact the customary family law of each religion. We should embrace the diversity. We live in a democracy. We live in a pluralistic society. In a pluralistic society, each community will have their own set of laws. They will have their diverse differences. So we should keep intact the family law of each religion, but reform these laws independently for each one, for the wrongs or the injustices that are there. So the approach is different. The conventional says that there should be a common this thing, right? Common uniform civil code, so as to address the wrongs that are there, injustices, especially from the gender point of view. In fact, that is the main argument. While their approach is again to address the injustices, but they're saying that respective laws should be kept intact. Some changes in some tweaking should be done. So that would be more appropriate in the Indian context. So that is the viewpoint of the 21st Law Commission. Now we have the 22nd Law Commission is also there. It is headed by the former Karnataka High Court Chief Justice Ritu Raj Avasti, and it decided to solicit the views of the public on the Uniform Civil Code, and then they will look into this issue. So this was on the uniform rights. So this is the thing I've tried to simplify it. I hope this is clear. Moving on, should not have much now in the news section. So we have on the international page, sadly, we were not able to recover the people from the Titan submersible, which was carrying 5 people. Oxygen got depleted. At the same time, it is likely that it imploded. As we go down deep into the sea, the pressure keeps increasing. So most likely it imploded. Nobody survived. It is not possible also to survive. Okay. Ukraine pounds key bridge in Crimea to cut off. Now we have a news on the Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif meeting the IMF head, and he wants $6 billion. He wants to have a $6 billion deal, and more critically, about $1.1 billion in loans, so as to ensure the macroeconomic stability of his country. So Pakistan is reeling under major debt crisis. They do not have money. So to ensure the stability of their currency and their economy, they are seeking money from the IMF. Okay. Now, where are they meeting? They are meeting in Paris, and this is known as the New Global Financing Pact. So it is here that they are meeting. In fact, we have our finance minister, Madam Sitaraman, also over here. Drought in Iran provinces. So we have drought in Iran. We have been talking about heat waves in India. So drought in Iran. So drought means lack of water. So leaves people chasing drops of water. Further, shortage inflames tensions with the country's neighbor. Right? Somebody said that the next war may be for water, next world war. So we're seeing such a situation, the tensions because of lack of water. Yes, now we come to the economy section. Semiconductor deals with the US firms. So I mentioned at the start of the session, Micron to invest up to $825 million in Gujarat. Then Applied Materials, another company, to invest $400 million for engineering center. Fine, we don't get much beyond this. Moving on, the RBI governor at MPC meet. MPC is the Monetary Policy Committee, Monetary Planning Committee. They look into the issue of what should be the interest rates set by the RBI. So they have raised concerns raising concerns saying that adverse climate events can change inflation trajectory. Right. So recent data suggested that inflation was at about 4.25%. But with climate change, with El Nino like events, climate change is not the best word, but having El Nino, heat waves, droughts, this may affect availability of food. So and also maybe fuel availability also, because of high power usage, power demand because of the heat wave. So it will eventually push up inflation, and then it will drag other sectors of the economy also. So adverse climate events can change inflation trajectory. Yesterday we talked about England. There was inflation in England about 10%. So Bank of England has raised the interest rate by 0.5%. So 5% is the actual amount that is there, but it has been raised from 4.5% to 5%. Fitch raises growth forecast 6.3%, as cites output and momentum. Okay, Fitch is the credit rating agency, so they are positive about the outlook of the Indian economy from 6% to 6.3%. Recently, we have had data about increased manufacturing activities, increased sales. So therefore, this change in outlook. Prime Minister Modi was in US. He met Elon Musk. So there, this announcement has come that Starlink, one of the companies of Elon Musk, it provides satellite-based internet. So they will be entering into the Indian market. So they will be, when they enter, there will naturally be a price war between the other Indian players. So Jio and Bharti. Bharti has another wing, Bharti Airtel, which is known as OneWeb, which is working on satellite-based internet connectivity. Now coming to the last article that we have. So it is saying inflation is down, but not all prices. So the prices of particularly the food and commodity prices are already high. Now we come to the last article. This is about inflation. So it is saying that inflation has come down. For instance, the headline retail inflation rate fell to 25-month low in May. I just talked about the inflation has come down, recent one. But actually the prices are high. It is only because we were, when the reference price that we are using was already very, very high. So therefore, because of the high base effect, the inflation figure is low. Inflation is low relatively, but the prices are actually very, very high. And this too in food and household items, which means shopping for groceries, etc., is going to be expensive. Beyond this, the events like El Nino, right? El Nino, now we have this cyclone that took place. So all this is also further going to make matters worse for the Indian economy as far as inflation goes. So this is it from today's newspaper. So this is all I have today. So thank you for streaming into our channel, IASPrimers, with me, Shubhashish. Bye-bye and all the best.